Welcome to Shop Talk Live, episode number 209. Today, Barry and Anissa join me and we discuss securing the frame in a frame and panel drawer, working with slabs and figuring out if they're dry enough or not, what to do when your partner doesn't like arts and crafts furniture like you do, and we help someone in biotechnology figure out how to move ahead with their shop situation. But first, I want to tell you about issue number 281. It's online and it should be in your mailboxes if you're a subscriber. We've got Elia Bazzari talking about a black over red milk paint finish. Jamie Herman talks about his design process and the way he plays with angles. Nancy Hiller is featured on the cover with her arts and crafts Gimson chest. Craig Thibodeau talks about waterfall veneering. Gary Rogowski demonstrates 4 different ways of making breadboard ends. Mason McBrien makes this beautiful little elegant side table that I absolutely adore. The legendary Will Neptune demonstrates how he cuts coves on the table saw. Megan Fitzpatrick builds a saw bench in our handwork series. And as always, lots of tips and tricks throughout the issue and tool reviews to boot. So if you're not a subscriber or an unlimited member, be looking for issue 281 on the newsstand. But if you're not a subscriber or an unlimited member, get on it. Help support the podcast and get the best woodworking content that money can buy. All right, here's a quick word from one of our sponsors. For more than 90 years, Woodcraft has been supplying woodworkers with quality tools, supplies, and advice. For the best in hand tools, power tools, and shop essentials, you can count on Woodcraft from start to finish. Check them out for woodworking classes, free demos, and project advice from knowledgeable, friendly staff. With 75 stores nationwide, you can find a store in your neighborhood or shop woodcraft.com for your favorite woodworking brands. Woodcraft, helping you make wood work since 1928.
So, do you guys take up little projects between big projects?
I feel as though we do this question constantly.
Do we?
I don't know. It could just be repeating in my head.
Do I need to restart the podcast day because you're being an a-hole?
Why do they put us on?
I think that's played out, Barry. Try again. New cold open.
Did you see the comment somebody made on Instagram? I am the one that keeps things rolling, focused.
Yeah.
So this person isn't a subscriber yet.
Yeah, that subscriber has listened to like one episode where
I don't think
maybe
so.
it was like you and John Tatro or something, but like, no, you don't keep anything focused.
Not true.
Do you want me to release the emails that you've been sending me? Okay, so I'm going to wear hearing protection and turn off my phone and shut down my email. How else should I concentrate at work? That was an email from yesterday.
It's been a rough focus week, right?
Yeah, it has.
You have said at
you've
least
been in
3
three
days.
times already this week.
Somebody do something. Let's get rolling.
All right.
Come on.
No, but so small projects between big projects.
Yeah, and I feel like I went overboard with my small project. It was 2 little drawers to hold my boxers in.
Your unmentionables?
Yeah, my unmentionables.
Oh, we're not going to start talking about this now.
But no, like the grain flows across the front of the 2 drawers. It wasn't just like to batch out something. It was like, no, it'll be dovetailed and there'll be painted plywood bottom attached. And it was like a real thing. It wasn't just me releasing pressure after a project, a bigger project.
But did you set out to do dovetail boxes or did you set out to do a box for your underwear?
I set out to do a box for my underwear.
And it just happened to have grain matched dovetail
Well, it was like,
fronts and-
yes, I can do this. I can wrap the
Good
front.
for you.
And the dovetails were because I didn't want to. It was cherry. I had leftover cherry from making something for my dad. And that feels like it needs to be nice. Like, you need to do dovetails. I couldn't pin rabbits and feel good.
Sure.
So I just cut gappy dovetails.
Well, I have a feeling it's going to be your smooth move. Do we need to talk about your gappy dovetails?
No, that's not going to be
That's
my
not
smooth
gonna be
move.
your
We need to
smooth
talk
move?
about
Okay,
we need to talk about Matt's wife and his gappy dovetails.
Well, no, this is...
There's
man,
no
that's-
context for anyone yet.
That's like everybody's like, what?
I know.
No.
The time jump.
Or maybe it's foreshadowing.
See, hey,
No, foreshadowing
Hey,
is
Little Miss
nuance,
keeping things on
not in
track.
chapter 12.
hang on. So,
I don't do nuance.
Barry,
Well,
tell everyone about your gappy dovetails.
Dude, I wasn't here. Okay, fine. So I was putting finish on these boxes, and the dovetails are looking nice. And I was feeling really happy because I do them sporadically. Like I only get a half an hour to chop to the baseline, or I can only saw and then wait. So there's no rhythm typically. So I'm looking at them when I'm putting finish on, and they look really good. And then I move my head to apply finish somewhere else, and I think I see a beam of light come through the baseline, and I shoot my head back square on. I was like, no, those look good. Hold on. So it was still, the sun had set. So I turned off the lights, pitch black in the shop. I grab a
Getting romantic.
flashlight. I put it inside the box. Boom. Nothing but shards of light
my
shooting through the
God.
baselines. Like, oh, come on,
I
dude.
just don't know why you hate yourself so much.
Dude, rough childhood. I think not enough love from my dad and too much love from my mom. Left me unbalanced. But turn the lights back on. Dovetails look hot. So it's like, whatever.
Why would you do this to yourself?
You're making me tell the podcast. I told you that in confidence. You're like, no, Barry, tell the subscribers.
I feel like somebody needs to come and sit in that seat.
Man. I know. So the
Jeff,
moral
come
is
back.
no flashlights in your drawers. And don't tell Ben a thing.
Yeah, could. We need Jeff here.
We need some.
There's
Grown up.
There's a
Yeah.
disturbance in the force.
There is a disturbance in the force, and I'm
Yeah.
going to keep looking at Jeff, but he's not there. Did he go home, or is he just downstairs?
I hope he went home because that dude's sick.
Yeah.
All right. Let's answer
Question one.
Question one from David. I'm working on a maple writing desk, and I'd like to make a frame and panel drawer front out of solid wood. I have some concerns about wood movement. I'd like to maintain the reveal, so a floating panel could be problematic. So he wants an even reveal around all sides of the floating panel, of the frame and panel. Should I attempt to pin it in from the back of the frame in the center of the panel?
Yes.
Yeah. Would you glue end pin or just do like
Why
pick
would
one?
you pin it? Just glue it. So generally, you glue the center of a panel in a frame and panel, right?
I think I glue it,
Yeah.
but I think I've seen, has Bexford pinned it? I remember seeing someone like driving
frame
a
and
little
panel?
brass.
Yeah, I
Don't quote
do
me
a little
on that.
pin in the middle.
On a frame and panel. Mm-hmm. Really?
Truly.
La-ti-da.
Why would I lie about that?
So is it a matter of like, would you pin it if you have really weird grain in there and glue it if it's more even? Or would you just have like, or am I getting too nitpicky?
Would you what? I zoned out for a second. I'm sorry. Just backtrack for a minute.
You're the one that holds this team together. That's what that comment was. Okay. Would you ever be like, no, this is a situation for gluing, not pinning, or vice versa? Like, no, this is definitely a pinning situation. Or is it 6 of one, half dozen of the other? You know what I mean?
It's getting you to the same place. What's the difference?
So why pin it?
Why glue it?
I don't know. I don't like the
feel
idea
like
of
you're
driving
just being
a
argumentative.
pin.
No, I'm not. I like the little, like I'll just use a little bamboo skewer or something.
Okay.
as a
Okay.
pin. I just like that little detail.
And is it going through both sides or just on the inside?
Just on the one side.
Oh, so it's just like a little thing that just you know about and you enjoy that.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. I can buy that.
Yeah, just secure the middle.
I've
It'll be
never
good.
thought of doing that. Pinning a frame and panel.
I glue because I don't like the idea of driving something that close to the end of a groove, but that's just me being a scaredy cat. Because really, that pin is what, a 16th? Like, you know, a fat 16th?
Yeah.
Have either of you ever used, they have like those little rubber balls or something that you're supposed to put in the groove to.
No.
I haven't. Well, no, I'm sorry. I have wanted to do that, and then I heard that you can use like silicone caulk, and probably not silicone, like an acrylic caulk, run a bead of acrylic caulk on something and then peel it off and chop it into little bits and use that to fill the groove to keep your frame and panel centered. and it didn't work for me. But that was a long time ago. So
It's interesting.
yeah. But I glue the center and
Yeah, you know.
don't worry about it. But maybe I'll drive a pin from now on. Now all of a sudden you have nothing to say.
Not a thing.
All right.
She said her piece.
Sure. Well, let's move on to question number 2 from Tony. I have recently embarked on my first slab project, and it's not going so well. My wife wanted a counter installed under our very picturesque 7-foot-long dining room window so that we could look dreamingly out of it as the snow falls in our wooden backyard all winter. And I really wish I had like a little piano over here. I convinced her that a live edge slab would be perfect. She was reluctant. I bought a slab of red oak from and he puts it in quotes, backyard sawyer.
Same place he buys his moonshine. You know? What is this? Does some dental work.
He says the tree fell 4 years ago and the slab was cut a year ago and stickered, covered, and left to air dry. At the time, I did not have a moisture meter. I own one now. I brought the slab home and cut a couple of inches off each end. After about 20 hours of it being in my basement shop, the ends started checking, and my wife was cursing me. What can I do now? Why are slabs so temperamental? I love the look of live edges, but how does one work with this stuff without checks and cracks? Where did we go wrong? Does it start with the backyard sawyer? Does it start with...
So I have a couple questions. So it dried for a year. Brad,
Yeah.
was it only 4/4? You know, because you
Yeah.
get that dry an inch per year of thickness
I doubt it.
Right.
rubric, you know?
I doubt it too. Oh, hello.
Microphone in front of you.
Right. So that alone is like, oh, dude, okay. So when he chopped off the ends, did he reseal it?
Well... Oh, okay. So this is an element that maybe
We
he
don't
brought
know
it
it
into his
wasn't-
basement to finish drying. Maybe
Wait.
he bought it.
Has anybody gotten cordwood delivered to their house?
Yes.
Okay. Has anybody gotten cordwood delivered and the guy swore it was seasoned?
Every time.
Okay.
Oh, this is ready to go in your fire right now.
Right. Yeah. So that's what I'm thinking about this backyard sawyer. 1. 2, we don't know what time of year this was. We don't know. We don't know enough. But I feel as though you're working with these big slabs. This kind of stuff is inherently a problem.
Right.
And it's just part of working with the big slabs.
So, okay, we can agree if it's 8/4, which is likely, if we're looking for a slab under a picturesque window to watch the snowfall.
We're looking at 2 years.
2 years minimum. And that is one of those things that they say that's like an average. That's kind of
Right,
what,
that's not.
And also, air drying outside for 2 years is not going to get you down to
11% or
to 10%, 8%, whatever you're kind of going for, right? It's probably going to get you down to 12, 14, depends. Also, I worry that if the tree was felled 4 years ago and cut 1 year ago, it was like lying there for 2 years or for 3 years, possibly starting to deteriorate or, gain moisture.
Okay.
It's not losing moisture in that 3 years.
No, right. Okay, yeah.
So
Agreed.
you cannot factor that into it's 4 years old.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not losing moisture in that time. So we all agree it needs to be cut. It needs to be air drying for at least 2 years.
for 8/4.
Assuming
Yeah.
he's 8/4. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when he said he cut a couple inches off each end, so did he test the drops, like the offcuts? Like, did I actually stop the check, the weakness that runs along the length of the grain? Or did I just cut off 2 inches and say, yeah, that's good? Because you want to cut off enough where it stops. You get beyond where it wants to naturally break if you just like slap it on a table.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
because there could be some hidden checking. Even. So that could have been an issue.
That kind of goes for any lumber.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I bet you the ends weren't sealed.
That's what I'm thinking. Like if it wasn't dry enough, or to begin with, you had to reseal it.
But go ahead. Sorry, Ben.
I just think it's rushed all around. So even if I'm bringing it in to dry more, I'm not going to cut the ends off.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
If you're bringing it in to dry more, you're just going to leave it.
Yeah, and let it sit there and dry.
Walk away from it.
What if it's already checking?
If it's already checking, just let it do whatever it's going to do.
And
then whenever you're ready to do something with it. But the checking, it's just part of slabs. I got a couple articles. There's a really good quote in this one, Success with Large Slabs, and it's by Doug Muberry and Michael Zuba. And the one line I love in it is, like Hollywood stars, slabs can be temperamental and difficult to handle. I mean, it is just one of those things, but this article gives tons of information on how to choose them, how to work with them, and then a lot about butterfly keys, how to handle the edges, the mass of the slabs. It talks a little bit about the bases. So there's a ton of good information, but we also had that article by COC Design pretty recently. And they're, Nakashima, everybody who's working with slabs seems to just embrace the imperfections of the slab.
Yeah.
And Audie and Ivy from COC Design do that kind of pixelated inlay stuff that's super cool.
Yeah.
And we should definitely link to that, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's all I've got. Just enjoy the checking and don't fight it.
Work with it.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's...
Are slabs so temperamental because...
Backyard Sawyers.
Well, no, there's that. But also it's like sometimes the wacky grain is what people find attractive.
Right, and
And the wacky grain is going to do wacky things. So it's part of it. Just if you make something out of a slab with a beautiful crotch in the middle or whatever, it's the chances are pretty good it's going to move eventually. It's going to that beautiful swirling grain is the sign of the tree doing something in nature that other than growing straight up and something that is going to behave the way that you're used to with most lumber. So that's why they're so temperamental. Also, what can I do now? It's like, at the very least, you can either go with it, put butterflies on the checks or the pixelated COC keys, or at the very worst, if you don't like that slab now you just have wood you can cut up. You're a woodworker.
There is that.
Yeah, so it's not wasted money, right?
Agree.
And maybe go online and find a sawyer with a kiln. Because most, like Corey Morgan, I know, like he gets all of these air dried slabs, but then they go in a kiln.
Oh, just to bring them down.
So it's like if he's working with it, he still wants it to go in a kiln, and it's not So he goes and he picks the trees and he picks the slabs, and chooses which ones go in the kiln. Which one's worth the added expense. But I think if you're doing a slab, you might want to try and find someone.
Did he get a receipt, and does the backyard Sawyer take returns?
The receipt's on the back of a McDonald's bag.
Okay. I don't want to cast aspersions on all backyard Sawyers.
Me neither.
It's when you put them in quotes, it's like, oh, dude.
Good point, Barry. Me neither.
Yeah.
I've been on the hunt for backyard Sawyers.
I have a great one.
Yeah.
I have all that maple and the walnut.
But not backyard Sawyers.
Exactly. 'Cause we actually did it in the front yard.
I went to a doctor.
Right, that's what I'm thinking. Like Dr. Barbers from the Middle Ages.
Jeff.
Well, my accountant.
Can you say my drug dealer?
Well, that's just not funny, Anissa.
Over the line. Get HR.
I don't have a drug dealer. Oh my God. Why did I say
You
that?
keep persisting here. Ben's got his editing
I
cut
don't
out for
ask
him.
to come on the podcast. Have I ever once said, "Hey Ben, put me on the podcast"?
Anissa's the one who
No,
keeps
you
the
really
wheels on this train.
I really have not. I think, in fact, for many years I said, "No, nobody take a photograph of me. No, I'm not going on the podcast. No videos. No, no, no."
Here we are.
All right.
Matt.
No, smooth
No,
move.
shoot.
Would you
All
leave
right.
Matt alone? There's an arc.
Okay. All right.
All right. It's time for smooth move. Anissa's first smooth move is texting everyone. 3 or 4 weeks ago, I have the greatest smooth move of all time. And now she can't remember it.
No, I can't. It was so good.
You commanded that Mike, Ben, and I couldn't do smooth move on the podcast because you had
right.
to have it because it was
I
just
never said you can't do it. I think I may have said next time I'm on, I want smooth move, but I should have given a hint.
Yeah.
Like leave a trail of breadcrumbs.
clue, yeah, because I can't remember anything.
All right. Who wants to go first?
I can.
I put your name down
I
first.
know, that's why. So I needed a towel rack for my bathroom. There was no good place to hang one. So I made
Is this the big project or the small project?
This is several intermediate projects ago. Okay. So I made like a Crenovian sawhorse just to drape my towel over.
Just one. You didn't do two while you were.
Right.
You didn't do two while you
Well,
were.
because I didn't have like machine setup, so there was no economies of scale going on. It was mostly handwork, you know. Yeah. But yeah, I didn't make two.
But now you see how wise that would have been, right?
But I'm hanging a towel over it.
Yeah.
Two takes up more space. Anyway,
You didn't have to put the second one in
Leave
your
'em alone.
bathroom.
Leave
Okay,
Barry alone.
okay.
so I'm just gonna have a single sawhorse hanging out.
That's my
Just-
point. Why do
I
you
had
have a
that
single
stack of lumber.
You have a single sawhorse in your bathroom.
I have a single towel rack styled after a Crenovian sawhorse.
It's a sawhorse.
So
I'm staring knowingly into the camera as though if you're watching YouTube right now, you're seeing me say, "You see what I have to deal with?"
it's true though. So sawhorse. So I could hang two towels. So a Crenovian sawhorse has a single horizontal above and below.
Krenov never made just one sawhorse.
So he probably replaced one at one point.
If Jeff was here, I'd tell him to turn
stop
her mic
recording.
on.
So I made two rails. That way I can hang two towels. So that's how I designed it. So in SketchUp, one of my previous all-time favorite tools, I laid out this thing. And it was going to be a mirror, top and bottom. So when in SketchUp, you can do scenes, which is kind of like zoom ups of exploded drawings. I did one from the front and then one from the side only below because the top was going to mirror the below. I didn't need to do the whole thing. I could focus to get more detail.
Okay.
So I'm making this thing and I'm thinking about processes and, streamlining things. And I have this like extra piece of oak. Sorry, the oak or the horizontals, the rails.
Okay.
Like, why do I have this extra piece? I didn't think I was going to have an extra piece. It's weird. And I assemble it and I carve the rails and I draw bore them. So I'm doing a lot of steps. It's not just slapped together. And I assemble it and I bring it into my bathroom. I'm like, oh, come on. I only put one rail up top and two down below, which means I was resetting my fences at my mortiser so I could do like a bridle joint up top where it was just supposed to be a mirror of the mortises down below. And that extra piece of oak that had been haunting me was the extra upper rail. So I kept focusing so hard on my scenes from SketchUp, those drawings.
No.
Two down below. I'm like, there's only one up top because you're looking at the front straight on. You only see one rail. So I just left out a whole rail.
You shouldn't have wasted all that time on SketchUp.
Leave him alone.
I can't.
How is that helpful?
It's not.
And that's like a table. That's a tippy table.
No, that's well.
You're just being mean.
I think I might be. I'll stop. You're right. I'm going to stop.
SketchUp's fun, and it let me figure out lumber needs, and I can't draw. So if you listen to the podcast, I explain why I dig SketchUp so much. But here
I'm
it clearly
totally
failed.
teasing you.
I failed.
Yeah.
This one's on me. This is a smooth move.
That's pretty epic.
It's amazing. Like, why do I have this extra piece of oak as I'm carving a piece of oak? It's not like,
Did you carve the extra?
no.
Like, maybe I'll figure it out.
No.
Maybe
like,
I'll
why
make
is this
another
more? It's a
sawhorse.
top half an inch when the other two are 1/4 inch. This was supposed to be a mirror.
What bothers me about that whole thing is that your gut was telling you something was off and you just didn't listen to it, Barry.
No, because in my head I'm thinking like this is styled after a Kronovian sawhorse. That's like one horizontal.
What I love is that your bathroom is right off your shop and you had to walk 5 feet for you to go,
I don't think I've told anybody that story until now because it's that shameful. But like I got through a whole bill.
No, and we talk about this stuff a lot. All right, I'm gonna go now. So I have Mike's old Unisaw, and on it I spent the money to get that arc shark guard or whatever, which is a splitter that mounts. And I've got the guard that goes over the top, and I really, really love it because it's one of those things that makes me feel much safer on an old table saw because for all intents and purposes, a riving knife, a finicky one, but a riving knife. And one thing I don't like about it is it's just kind of annoying to get set up. It's one of those things, there's no good way of getting it perfectly behind the blade without just trial and error. Take half an hour of just tapping it with a little hammer to get it right where it needs to be. And I'm making something a couple weeks ago and ripping a lot on the table saw. And it just keeps binding. I'm ripping it and everything is just binding on it. And then I go to cut down some plywood and it's binding on the riving knife. So I'm going, all right, this thing is not lined up properly. I line it up, take it all apart, because this is my safety, you know. I get everything lined up perfectly, cut another piece of plywood, and it's like, wow, I'm having to really push. It feels like everything's binding. And I think I even have like a little cutoff of Baltic birch that's not moving as you're cutting it. And I probably pull apart this setup 3 or 4 times over the course of a day, chasing it. And then I'd get frustrated and just be like, all right, put the guard on, just do everything as safely as possible. And it's binding. Everything is binding. Again, 3 or 4 times. I've probably 2 hours chasing this thing. And I finally realized I have a thin kerf blade on my saw and a full kerf riving.
And that's something I would do.
It was
You are finally up to my level.
Oh man, that's amazing.
Eventually I'm just like, why? I mean, why are the tolerances so tight on this? And I measure the riving knife, and I feel like it was 105. I measure it with a caliper. It's 105 thousandths or something like that. And I measure the blade, and it was like 106 thousandths. And it was like, oh, come on. There's no way this is not going to bind. I'm an idiot.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Anissa, what's your smooth move?
My smooth move is an old one. Very old, but I think it's worth mentioning. When I first started, I had a shoot early on. Wasn't my first away shoot. That was with Nancy Hiller. And
On the cover.
Yeah, congrats on the cover shot.
Nancy Hiller is on Nancy's on the cover.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, congrats on taking the cover shot,
And
which is cool too.
So it may have been my first shoot, my first solo shoot, because Mike came out to Indiana with me for the Nancy Hiller shoot. So this is my first. I'm going away. I'm taking the camera gear, and I have this shot list, and it was all about this mitered.
Is that the most frightening experience in the world?
Well, you mean the first time?
Yeah. Is it like getting your driver's license and being in the car by yourself for the first time? But you have a solid woodworking background. You went to school for photography, but
Yeah, like I was walking around town taking black and white film photos of people sitting at the bus stop.
Yeah.
Like it's not the kind of photography I did. That's a good question. I was definitely nervous. The atmosphere in the office was different. It was a much larger staff, and so, and not as there were just more of us, and I was new, and I had never had a publishing job before, and that's not true. I was a photographer at a newspaper for a little bit, but just different.
Yeah,
very different. So you're traveling with this light kit. There was no Waze or Google Maps or anything. So when I first started, you were using a paper map and getting directions from your author where to go.
You had to crank the car to start it.
And it wasn't until I started shooting in Boston that I started using like a GPS on the car, because you had like, anyway.
Boston's a
mess, right?
Holy Boston. And so you're not supposed to let your authors wear black. You're not supposed to let them wear white. Wait, I'm jumping ahead. This is going to be, I'm going to try and shorten it, Ben. I'm sorry. So before I went down, the article was only about the mitered molding on this shaker cabinet. Well, it turns out I had to build the shaker cabinet. Yeah, that's the cover the opener.
What?
You had to build the cabinet for the article?
I had to build the cabinet that went with this molding and schlep it down with me.
No.
Yeah, we're not going to even get into the details of it. It's a really good article. Lonnie Bird has great techniques for doing this.
You didn't build the cabinet.
So it was just, I'm going to spare you all the details. So that's the cabinet that I ended up having to make. Lonnie made the door and when I was down there with him. And
sorry.
You'll see that little circle there. So I had to hand cut the dovetails, and when I first started, it was like this hazing thing. I'm looking for Jeff; he's not even there. It was like this dovetail hazing. Every time I turned around, somebody was making me dovetail something. Hand cut these dovetails. Make a prop for this. Here, write an article about a dovetail jig. Well, I review these dovetail jigs, and I was like, I've never used a dovetail jig. That's okay. You can cut dovetails. Well, it's completely different. Okay, I'll do that. Make a cabinet. Like, I don't know what was going on there, but I don't think I've cut a dovetail since I did this cabinet. I'm not kidding.
Okay, why?
Well, so I wanted to be good at what I was doing, and I was fresh in this job, and I knew how to cut dovetails, but then they said, make the shaker cabinet. And I had just come from the Krenov school where you spend like 3 months thinking about what you're going to do before you start cutting the dovetails. And I had a week to make this cabinet. And so I made the cabinet, and then Mike, I said, okay, am I done? And he said, no, you have to put the top and the bottom on. Well, I did that. And you should not be able to see those dovetails. So why are you going to hide your dovetails after you make them? That's just ridiculous. But it's just structural. And then you put the fake top and bottom on. And so I brought the cabinet to Mike, and I was like, here, I'm finished. Is it ready to go? And he just looked at me. That man still has never said one word to me that the dovetails, that I put the top and bottom on the wrong sides. I put it together wrong. You should not be able to see those dovetails.
Okay.
They should be hidden by the top and bottom.
Wait, so are the top and bottom half-blind dovetails, and then you put a top and bottom on over them?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes. Yeah. I am telling you, and I have never said this to anybody ever.
Podcast for confessions.
So we have a dovetailed case.
Yeah.
Half blind dovetails normally are on the sides.
Right.
So that when you put a top board and a bottom board or something over it, you don't see dovetails.
You don't see dovetails at all. So
But You did the half blind on the top and bottom, then put the top and bottom on, and the dovetails are still perfectly visible on the sides.
Because why would I want to cover up my dovetails?
Well, I want to know the look Mike gave you, because Mike could have two looks.
No, wait. Okay, go ahead.
It's either like, ha ha, you idiot, or, oh, you idiot. Like, it's one of those.
No, there was a third. There was a third.
Where's glasses halfway down?
I don't remember. This was like a long time ago. There was that, yes.
Yeah.
There
Okay,
was
yeah.
that. But there was a third. There was empathy there.
Okay.
It was not just those two. So that man did not say one word. He just looked at me. And now, knowing what I know that Mike was like, he was working like, how are we going to fix this? What are we going to do? Can you flip back to the cover or the opener?
Where it's just the rail
Where it's just the rail. So before I even went down for the shoot, I'm sure he knew he was going to do that. But so now I pack up this cabinet and I take it down to Lonnie Bird, who also does total legend. And I knew, like, I didn't know Mike well at that point, but the look, the reaction, like it never went away. And I took it down. He never said anything. I took it down to Lonnie's. He didn't say a thing. He was wonderful to shoot with. And I came back and nobody said anything. This was the cover. Like 2 years later, it clicked. I was like, oh my God.
You didn't even realize
No, I had no idea.
Were you like lying in bed?
Something like that. I have never spoken a word about this ever.
Where's the
and
case?
I think, where's the what?
Where's the case?
I gave it to my sister. Yeah, it's at my sister's house.
So this is something that I wonder. How much of Mike's job is like, oh, you made a mistake and I need to fix it? Like,
Yes.
we can't redo that. Like, this photo is terrible. How do I work around this? How much of that is Mike's job?
Well, here's the thing. I think Mike was
That is
just...
Mike's job.
That is Mike's job, always.
Yeah.
And I think he was very gracious now because I'm a little more confident in my job. I think he was being very gracious. Like, I think he didn't want me to just, like, lose it and, run away crying or something like that. So in retrospect, maybe it was the best way to handle it instead of saying, like, because I probably would have started weeping if he said, you have to make a new cabinet. Yeah. And, I wonder if he called Lonnie and said, look, she's coming down with this thing. Just go with it. Just go with it. I have your back when it comes to the article, but just don't say a thing to this one. She's on the edge. She might be leaving.
That's fantastic.
She's not going to be around long. This is the last time you'll have to deal with her. All right, let's take a break on that one. Spectacular series, Mike. I'm waiting for a new episode each week like it's Game of Thrones. I'm addicted to this. Amazing job to everyone involved. So people are singing the praises of our latest video workshop, Build a Hanging Tool Cabinet with Mike Pekovich. And if you're a fan of the podcast, you're going to really love this video workshop. It's Mike as you know him on the podcast, with all of his tips and techniques that you've come to love, but all the personality as well. Mike, thanks for doing this video workshop. It's such a wonderful compilation of your work and techniques from over the years. But that's just one part of the Unlimited membership. Another big part of the Unlimited membership is the magazine. You get the issues that we talk about here on the podcast delivered straight to your mailbox. Mike, your presentation of woodworking philosophy and practical hints is unmatched. Not only that, let's be honest, this podcast is supported and funded by Fine Woodworking members and subscribers. I just want to state how much I'm enjoying and learning from this series. Once it warms up in my shop, I will be building this project so that I can improve my joinery and hand tool skills. So you're getting access to the best woodworking videos on the web. You're getting the longest running woodworking magazine that's written by the best woodworkers in the world, delivered straight to your mailbox, and you're helping support us. You're helping support this podcast. So thanks to all the Unlimited members out there. And if you're not an Unlimited member, head on over to finewoodworking.com/unlimited today and sign up. Anissa?
Ben?
2 questions from Matt.
Oh,
No, yeah, now we're finally here. Chapter
Yay.
12. Foreshadowing.
I've been waiting for this one.
All right. I have a large problem. I've become enamored with the arts and
You're
crafts
about to have a
style.
larger problem.
Here comes the Nisa. Unfortunately, my wife hates every piece that I would like to build. Should I leave her? We have been married for 2 years, and I think I could live without her.
That's not that long in the scheme of things.
No.
Even if
I
he's
mean, you
24, that's a 12th of your life.
Right.
That's nothing.
How many 24-year-old subscribers do we have?
But I mean, even on the low end.
This is not his first wife.
Oh, my.
So you're saying he should return to the first one?
I'm not saying anything of the sort.
No, because the arts and crafts love is new.
Are you
Dude, just go single. I'm single. It's great.
I'm really regretting including this one because the vitriol coming out of this side.
I know.
There's no vitriol here. I'm totally kidding. I am. I'm really kidding. I think that Matt is super sweet, and he's probably been joking around with his wife.
Yes.
I think that he should show her, if she's not into the arts and...
Show her green and green.
Well, no, I think if she's not into arts and crafts, he should actually show her Mike's work.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Which has, like, it could satisfy...
Yes.
Get Binzen's book. Binzen and Rodell's book.
Oh, that's true, too.
But on top of Mike, because Mike is arts and crafts adjacent. You know, like he's there. But
That's a hard one because, like, the other day I was doing, like, taxonomy stuff or whatever, and I was trying to categorize styles of...
for the website?
Yeah, and, like, is Mike's work arts and crafts? No. But it's of arts and crafts.
Well, so that's what I
like,
think.
There's a nod to it, for
Yeah.
sure. There's an
there's
influence
definitely,
there, but
like,
it's...
you don't call it arts and crafts. What do you call
No.
it? He's not going to listen to this.
Mike, he's not.
I mean, if he is, you guys have already, like, kissed his butt enough. So, like,
Right, so now
you could...
let's crap on him a bit. Bring him down a notch.
No, I think it's more, if whatever's bothering her about the arts and crafts, I bet, well, I don't know, maybe she likes period furniture, but if she's going more modern, Mike's work is lighter, like just airier.
more approachable.
It's
Yeah.
more approachable. It's
Yeah.
more contemporary.
It's not the dark, heavy,
Yeah.
you know, dark, overwhelming oak, fumed oak.
Yeah.
Like Macintosh is darker and fumed, I think, but he's tighter, right? Like, and the proportions are slimmer, right?
Mike?
I always,
Yeah.
Macintosh.
Oh.
I always think of Macintosh as more. There's more decoration to it
Okay.
than so like iconic arts and crafts Stickley, right? That's what most people think when they.
Yeah, I think so.
But one problem with arts and crafts might be that you look at an arts and crafts piece and you look at it in an arts and crafts room or a house, and it is overwhelming with, you know, the deep mahogany walls and you know what
Yeah,
you
like
know
the
what I'm
Gamble
saying?
house?
Yeah, like all of a sudden it's like a lifestyle, whereas a Stickley chair in most rooms is a lovely piece and it doesn't overwhelm everything about it. So when you show someone arts and crafts pieces, show them the piece. Don't show them like, look at this Gamble house. And also green and green. I think a lot of woodworkers lean green and green because it's really, really difficult and lovely. But most non-woodworkers look at green and green and say, wow, that's really loud.
I don't know. But
You don't want to say.
no, I straight up don't like green and green. Like if
I
that's
know.
what you're, yeah. Like the Gamble house, I think is incredible.
And that's the thing. It's like
like a
when you
full
see
idea.
it in the context and everything, that's great. But like a green and green piece out of context doesn't work as well as a Stickley piece out of context to
I
me.
gotcha. I'm wondering if there is anything that she likes about it that you could find arts and crafts or arts and crafts adjacent thing, like Mike.
Yeah.
And you're into this use of negative space. Well, what about this maker? Or you like thin, slim down proportions, but you're still good with oak. What about this maker? So maybe do some like research. Like, so John Binzen and Kevin Rodell have an arts and crafts book, which is this big survey. Go through the makers, you know?
Or maybe he could say, oh, what would you like then?
Oh, there's that. You could actually like care.
And then maybe he should also question, can she live without you, Matt? I'm totally kidding.
Probably like.
I want to see Anissa's version of Dr. Phil. Yeah, no, Matt, that's great. What do you think, wife? Do you want to ditch him? Let's go get some beers.
I'm basically setting myself up for the next part of Matt's question. I really think Matt and his wife have a really sweet, lovely relationship. Otherwise, he would not be writing that.
Like when
I'm just
when
kidding
I read
around.
that,
No, this is a cry for help.
Yeah.
That's
Well, also, they've only been married 2 years. But
Well, there.
I remember when
Hi, Katie.
I love my wife.
I know you do. You guys are a good team.
I remember when. Oh, I see why you said that. Because they've only been married 2
Right.
years. Wait until. Oh, it's
Yeah.
great. Don't worry, Matt. You're good. Marriage is wonderful. No matter what I say, it sounds worse.
Yeah, it does. It does. I love my wife. Marriage is fantastic.
You should totally get married. It's the best. So, I have no idea what I was going to say.
I'm kind of with Anissa. What does she want you to build? Because I consider it kind of lucky that you get the freedom to be in the shop. You know, and like, oh, you're going to go blow money on some more wood that I see no return from?
Yeah.
Yeah,
After
sure.
you just spent thousands on a table
Right.
saw that's
Yeah.
going to cut your hand off? No,
Exactly. Yeah. So get some client input. I'm with you.
I don't. But also, when I first started getting into woodworking, my wife wanted everything painted, and I'm that new woodworker. It's like, oh, the beauty of the wood. You can't paint wood. What is sacrilege? And she was like, we have wood floors. There's gonna be too much wood in this room. And then I would build something, and 9 times out of 10, she would be like, oh yeah, I get it. Or sometimes I would paint it, you know. But I think that once you start building something, chances are pretty likely she's going to see how much effort you put into it, how much love and care. And if you do it, you know, with her taste in mind too, she will probably come around to a piece or two.
Give you a gold star. Like A for effort, honey. Thank you, Matt.
That's nice.
So Matt's real question.
All right. I just finished my second project that incorporates hand-cut joinery. I'm working mostly in quarter saw and white oak. Didn't listen to the wife.
I didn't even notice.
Good eye,
know,
Ben.
this was
Good
good.
catch.
I find that when assembling my joints, I'm busting the corners of my tails off. Is this common, or is there fault with my technique? I rarely see photos that show the joinery well enough to determine if I'm alone. Photoshop.
Oh. But
You don't
I
see
looked
photos.
at he sent some photos of
Yeah,
his joint.
and dude,
he's talking about these little tiny.
I know.
Just shove some glue in there when you're gluing it up and they'll be gone, and go focus on your marriage.
I mean, anybody would be.
Come on.
Yeah, these are
I've
really
got it
good
on a big
joints.
TV behind
I
me,
had to,
and
like-
it's these are. Yeah, you actually printed
I
it
put
up,
it on
and
my-
you were
on my
like,
phone, and I was just
"What
like-
is he showing us?" Because you couldn't see him. Anybody would be very, very proud with
On
the
white
work.
oak.
Yeah, not to mention, yeah. I mean, your wife hates it, but it's barely anything there. And then you were walking around the office pointing out like, oh,
Yeah.
look at this piece.
So there's I think it might be quarter saw, definitely white oak piece that's around the office.
That
So like
somebody
made by a pro, yeah.
Yeah.
And there are patches to the dovetails, you know, and it's so I'm wondering how much of it is the splinterability of white oak Like, is that just causing more pieces to split off and it's wicked hard? So when you're driving the end grain in, is it chipping off things? But also, these are really good dovetails.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, he's on the right track. We'll
so
say.
Matt, with 2 non-questions getting answered on today's podcast. Yeah, dude, you should be proud.
Maybe he just sent that in to be like, hey, check out my dovetails.
Right. A little humble brag.
And he got us with the first
Oh,
question.
they're so bad. I'll show you. Here's my tear out on a dovetail.
Oh,
Maybe it's
better.
Dude, what even happened?
Oh. The rabbit in the back, or there was a rabbit or there was a groove to hold a panel in the back there, and I just got too close to the end grain during assembly. Then that was really weak, and boom, and it fell into a pile of wood chips. Like the piece went flying off and fell into a pile of wood chips, and I was like, "There's no way I'm ever gonna find the piece," and that's the way they remain. So, Matt, you got me.
Yeah, good work, man. Just don't put a flashlight in there.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Last question is from Chris. Looks like I didn't edit this one. Or yeah, I did. Hang on. All right. I'm interested in building out a shop where I can sporadically work on the weeknights and spend a bit more time on the weekends. I currently work in biotechnology. Brag. So we'll be more than likely always be working in big cities. Like the horrendous Seattle, Boston, or San Francisco. Poor guy. Where space is limited. Based on that, is it smarter to make investments in hand tools, knowing that the learning curve tends to be much steeper? Or should I invest in shop time and do more assembly and finish type work at home? So, this is an interesting one. Barry, you are
Yeah, so
nomadic apartment woodworker.
Yeah, and so one thing that just hit
Not
me
in
now was his
biotechnology.
No, I work in a magazine. One thing that just hit me was travel. So my thought is you should probably do both. You should probably work out of home and do the shop thing. It's not an either or proposition. Sorry, if you want to go into hand tools and do that, then yeah, do the hand tools thing. I don't like the idea of just doing assembly and finishing at home because I don't want to have cut all this joinery and then move the boards to another location and hope everything assembles like it did in the shop.
And then all of a sudden you don't have the tools to do anything about it. Yeah.
So regardless, I would have hand tools at home. Whether you want to go full hand tools or partially, that's your call. The way I handle it is there's a community shop and I do rough milling there. And so joiner, planer.
Would that be my shop?
No, because your bandsaw hasn't been working for a couple months now.
After Barry broke it.
I didn't break it. So it's great for rough milling because the joiner alone is fantastic. I have a planer at home, but
you also have a area
basement
to plane in.
So if he can make noise somewhere, get a planer, and then you almost don't even need a shop. You know?
Everything else, I mean, to me, it's like when you try and separate, like, do I go hand tool route or do I go, regular woodworker route? It's the only separation is, do you have a planer or do you not have a planer?
Yeah, and if you can make noise, like if in these cities you have a back porch or something that you could plop a planer on, then I think you're in great shape.
Or can you go to an alleyway with a planer, or is that just weird?
I think that's a great story. I think that's a good way to meet people. The right people or wrong people, I'm not sure yet. But because thicknessing boards by hand is a drag. But one of the drawbacks of a communal shop is it's communal. And the stuff isn't always up to snuff because these shops might also have like a metalworking place and sewing and plastics. And so there's just a table saw there. Whether or not it's tuned up, I don't know. So if the finer you try to go with your work, the more frustrating it may get. I'm not guaranteeing it. Just because the machines aren't tuned to that level. So for rough mill, sure, I think a community shop's fantastic. But beginning to end with a project, I'm not as sold.
So buy hand tools.
Yeah, do have hand tools.
You're gonna need them regardless.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you? Yeah. You used to work in a well, you know, your communal shop experience was at the Krenoff School. So.
What am I missing? Is he saying he's using a communal shop? Am I missing that somewhere?
Well, he's going to be dropping some money, and he doesn't know whether he should buy machinery or not, right?
Yeah,
Well,
when he
he's
says
saying-
invest in shop time, I think it's like somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
Or invest
Yeah.
in shop time and do. I just thought he has his own shop space at home, and he's deciding whether he should do mostly machine work or should he really invest in hand tools. And so I'm going to answer that way. I think he should just do both, because you can resell all those tools if he moves, and the hand tools are so small and portable, you can get them all in one box. But I could be misunderstanding the question.
I mean, there's no downside to buying hand tools.
Right.
You're always going to use hand tools. Now, whether you use the number 7 or not, that's a different story.
Yeah.
I find I've been whittling down my hand tools because I'm learning which ones I need. You know.
Right, yeah, like it depends on how you work.
Yeah,
Sure.
but I think if you can afford the space for a bandsaw at home, a small bandsaw, get one, regardless. Mm-hmm. If you can afford to have, and if you can find a way of having a planer at home, great. But if you don't have a planer, you're going to have to invest in shop space.
I agree, because thicknessing board by hand is a drag.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, unless you're like hand tool guy.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Some listener comments. This first email is from Steve, and it is a valid complaint.
Yeah, really is. As soon as I read that.
Not so much.
Oh my goodness. I think you're just trying to be
He's
argumentative.
right.
This is valid. Or is it?
Dun, dun, dun. Guys, maybe you forgot that many of us listening do not know as much as you do. And yeah, absolutely. For instance,
I wasn't thinking about that part.
Oh.
Go ahead.
For instance, you had a lengthy discussion on using an L fence versus a crosscut sled, but you never explained what an L fence is. Please remember to explain things. And then he has to throw it. Define home building.
That's the part that's
Never leaves us
getting
newbies in the dust like your podcast does. Well, T-Dot, fine home building. No, they're great. For home builders. Please take the time to explain and draw visual pictures for us listening online. And you're absolutely right. Yeah. My retort to that is I try so hard to, if we mention something that is a little bit esoteric, go to the show notes page. There will be a link.
Oh, yeah.
Explaining what that thing is. The show notes page for that episode had 3 links on an L fence. So, like, if you're sitting there and we're talking about something, if we stop and explain everything, then we're not slowing it down, but we're bugging the more experienced listeners. We're never going to hit the perfect sweet spot for everyone.
And we're never going to explain it as well as the articles in the show notes.
Yeah.
You know?
With pictures and how-tos. And so if something doesn't make sense, try and go to the show notes page first. If not, bstrano@taunton.com. Anyone is welcome to email me questions, or shoptalk@taunton.com. Email me questions. I will do everything I can to explain something, and that goes for anything web related. But magazines, screw you guys. But
Those you can send to Barry.
yeah.
bstrano@taunton.com. Oddly enough.
And in that show notes page, we have a couple of comments. This one is on iTunes from Hagitsakagaka. It's just a bunch of consonants. This podcast and the content it drives you to is the best way to hone the number one tool in your shop, you. After listening for about a year, my wife purchased me a magazine subscription, and I'm looking to upgrade to unlimited in 2020. It is 2020. Get on it. On the newsstands, your magazine can be intimidating to a hobbyist like me, but this podcast acts like a front porch to fine woodworking content,
sweet.
showing the accessibility for hobbyists like myself. Wow.
I know. That's a really good metaphor, too.
Really good.
Front porch.
Yeah.
Come on in.
And this one,
Yeah.
this one, listen to the whole thing from Hans VS. After catching up on 7 years of podcasts, I can confidently say that you should listen to them all. There will be heartbreaks as some leave and new people join, but there are great tips and techniques buried in there. The best part is how it motivates you to get in the shop and do something. And that's like front porch of fine woodworking and motivating people to get in the shop. That's what we want to do. And I want people to go to the website and read the show notes. Anybody have any recommendations?
Oh, I do. It came from you, actually.
I knew you were going to do this. Wait. It's written down there, right?
Which one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which one?
No?
No, you go. You go.
This Is Love?
Oh, no, the podcast. Yeah. Wow.
What's up?
I recommended the other thing I thought you were going to say.
So Ben recommended this podcast called This Is Love. It is so... I've only listened to one episode.
That's all you need.
The Memory Artist. It's so beautiful.
Is that the one, the father with the two daughters?
No.
Okay.
It's the Italian guy. The Germans came in and kicked everybody out of his hometown in Italy. And
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Yep.
it really, go to the podcast, whatever you show me to go on, and get the podcast. This Is
Whatever
Love.
you're listening to this podcast on, type
The
in This
worst
Is Love.
brand ambassador is one of our own editors. Go to the thing on the what is this magazine? The Woodworking's webpage.
Actually, Ben can link to it in the
I'll link
show
to This Is
notes.
Love. Yep. This
Yeah.
Is Love.
I thought that's what you were telling him to do. Go to the show notes.
I want to recommend everyone open up Instagram right now and follow the National Park Service.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The pictures are wonderful, and they are the absolute best. It's got to be a team of people
They
because
are.
there's no way one person's coming up with this stuff.
Freaking funny.
They are the best social media team that has ever social
really
media
good.
teamed.
I agree.
I think that every social media team should aspire to be the National Park Service right now.
I agree. I think that they should create a new position for the three of us, and we just do that.
I don't think they're going to do that.
Me neither. But it would be fun. It'd be nice.
Do you have anything?
Yeah, it's super snobby.
Oh, boy.
It is Akira Kurosawa's Ran. It's a movie inspired
email that to
by
me.
I will. Inspired by King Lear by William Shakespeare, and it is an emotional roller coaster. You feel like you just got punched in the heart.
Better than Seven Samurai?
Yeah, much more dramatic, and I really love King Lear, so I have that reference point. But I think even if you don't know Lear, this movie just shakes you to your bones.
Just so that everyone knows, Barry likes stupid stuff too.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's what I like about Barry. Is like he'll talk about like King Lear and all that stuff, and then rattle off Step Brothers quotes.
That was me at a 6. You do not want to see me at a 10, Ben.
All right, well that's all for this episode of Shop Talk Live. If you have questions you'd like us to answer, gotta stop going in that voice. On the show, send them to shoptalk@taunton.com. If you are confused by what we said, maybe not this episode can be explained on the show notes page, but most of them can. If you're watching on YouTube, please click that thumbs up button. We'll be back in 2 weeks with another episode. Thanks for listening. You good, Jeff? All right, get the hell out of here. Thank you, Jeff.
Look at him go with his box of
goes.
tissues.
Oh my God.
This little Purell.
Moment of silence for Jeff.
Should we pour one out?
Yeah, why did it just get weird?
Because we're not used to being sympathetic. Oh, shoot.
Laugh at the pain and suffering of others.
Exactly. But he's such a good egg, and then to see him sick, and you know it's got to be bad if he's walking around with his tissues and all.
And a bottle of Purell. which is really considerate.
Right, so our empathy lasted about 20 seconds max.